helping quantum computing integrate AI globally so we can live truthfully and faithfully globally, right? That's what we're doing on this YouTube channel, right? And so I'm going to go soak in the tub for over an hour, So I'm going to make a third video because I need something intelligent and fun to listen to while I'm in there soaking in the tub. And the prayers that I share on this YouTube channel are excellent to listen to. As you said, okay, wow, well, this is where, we're connecting to good people. This is quantum computing, which is an invention, needs a baseline for eternal human perfection. You can't invent your own religion, okay? You can't make up your scientific discoveries. You can't make up your scientific evidence. Like a lot of things, the one they showed me the day with the kid in New Mexico, which I've known about, about the fault lines and the things and the global reactions through volcanic activity, because we need cooling. It's in the Gospels, it's in the Bible, it talks about it in Revelation, the global warming caused by the satanic ways of the devil that tries to manipulate people with invention instead of honor the truth of creation through faithful love. So, you get like, wow, And it's interesting because you'll get this stuff and they'll try to play with your head and make you feel like, did you hear that last one with the stuff you said about Jennifer Lopez? Like, yeah, she'd be fortunate to meet me immediate LY, and then spend time with me and get to know me and hang out with me. And then, if she found that she had affection towards me and wanted to be around me for a long period of time, she'd be a very fortunate woman. So I understand that. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, who am I? Just an ordinary guy trying hard to win me first prize. I don't see a woman as first prize, and I'm definitely not an ordinary guy. I'm an exceptional fellow that saves people from selfishness that makes people feel like they're just ordinary. And long lay the world in sin and error pining till he appeared and his soul felt its worth. And life's eternal and grace is infinite. And this is the spirit of Adam, Moses, David, Jesus, John. And so, and I'm not arrogant at all. Not at all. And I think like Pascal, so I don't look at love as a finite thing. I don't look at love as a physical thing. I look at love eternally. Like Pascal said, if you die, she'll be mating and reproducing with someone else. And if you really love her, you want her living the Lord's Prayer eternally. So whoever's mating with her and having children with her, they will live your eternal love. Right? And that's what love is. And that's why I say, someone like Jennifer Lopez should be fortunate if we met tomorrow. And I said, yeah, I'd definitely like to get to know you if you'd like to get to know me. And if she had the time and the place, time and research, we have time. It's just if people want to share time with you and get to know you and be patient enough to understand you and appreciate you when you're a very perfect, beautiful, loving human being like Job, Jonah, Jesus, and myself, right? I'm not an egomaniac. I have not invented the Gospels into a script of my design to make the world of my design in my brain. Okay, I am certain about the stuff with alternate dimensions and different things and different dimensions and different. No, let's carry it to another dimension on that ridiculous Goodyear commercial. You're not in another dimension. No, you did not go to. It's something you invented with your imagination. Like Rodney used to tell me, I go soul traveling and I fly through mountains and all that stuff. And I was like, wow, the 60s are real good at your house, right? And then I kept, I soul travel on it. All I do is talk to Jesus. When I do my spiritual exercises, I talk and have these amazing conversations with Jesus. And then some of the other guys, like the Rebs Artars and stuff, have these really, and Rumi, and I've had these conversations that are off the charts intelligent, my whole life, right? And I haven't soul traveled, okay? And then when I sat down and did my spiritual exercises at Pope Air Force Base, I'm sitting there trying to talk to these people in that painting that about based on the Andy Warhol invention of Eckankar, with Darwin Gross, when Darwin Gross is there, and so they have all these pictures of all these religious people that they say are ex-masters around him. And I sit and I try to connect these people. I don't get any. I get this big black guy and his beautiful wife, and I find out this is Adam and Eve. So I sit down in meditation and prayer and try to do the soul traveling thing, and I get these two people in prayer that tell me it's necessary for me to marry this Stephanie Elaine Gilliard girl and have this child, this son of mine, Patrick, And why is this so important? It's like, you need this son, you need this child, it's important. And I was like, okay, it's important that you have a physical child, a son. And Pisces Virgo rising is a very good sign, I'm sitting there listening to my music, and you ever heard un amor vivir by the Gypsy Kings? And that's the way I say it, because Dad, I want to hear Gypsy Kings. Dad, I want to hear Gypsy. I'm always going to say that in my head, because that's what Patrick used to say. Dad, I want to hear Gypsy King. I want to hear Gypsy King. And I'd put it on for him. And he loved it, man. It was one of his favorites, And I knew, as it turns out, Steffi's biological father, through the DNA test, comes from Morocco. And those are the people that were the Moors that occupied Spain. Okay. And I think she said either Guatemalan or something like that. So obviously, if he came from Morocco and then was Guatemalan, then was part of the Spanish migration. And then Patrick also had things that he would tell me about people that are his relatives. He would tell me about the Buffalo Soldiers at Fort Huachuca and their encounters with Geronimo and dealing with the Apache people. So I'm like, okay, so my son is the spirit of an Othello type man in Spain. Then they get in a boat, and then they come to colonial New Spain, and he's there, and then he ends up being in the spirit of a Buffalo Soldier in Arizona, the Geronimo campaign and stuff. And so I'm like, wow, it's neat. He would just tell me this stuff. And then everybody, they can program people, they can do this. It's like, why don't they do it with you? And how come you're not as intelligent as myself and my son Patrick? How come you and your kids don't have as intelligent conversations, reliable sources of historical information that correct fallacy and propaganda and, that give us, whoa, yeah, that kind of stuff happens, and then connect you to people that lived in that, like El Paso City with Marty Robbins, from 30,000 feet, and does the feeling deepen cause you feel that you yourself lived there in that other time, like Patrick used to do when he would sit and listen to those Marty Robbins songs, Cottonwood Tree, Felina, El Paso, because, he comes from Buffalo Soldier people and mulatto cowboys. One of every 4 cowboys that settled the West were ex-slaves. Okay. So Patrick knew what it was like to be, he was so tall and so handsomely dressed. This one was new in town. He was hadn't been seen around. He was so different. He wasn't like all of the rest, right? He knows what it's like to be that type of person in that type of situation, And when you're a mulatto cowboy, like Malachi Young, who I've gotten in prayer and stuff too, the women, especially the Mexican women, are going to find you vehemently attractive, especially when you're tall and handsomely dressed, and you know. And so it's going to happen. And then she flirted one night, started a gunfight. Inside he was a hurting from all of her flirting. But that was her nature, and that was the way that she lived. You know, bury us both deep and maybe we'll find peace. And pulling the trigger, she fell across the dead cowboy's chest. You know, out in El Paso, whenever the winds blow. And so when you have children that feel the same emotional connections to the eternity of where you live and the people that live here, and they speak to you in prayer, and you speak of the prayers, and they're in you, you know. Cuelica, say it again. Let the people know that you love them, you know. This is based on reality. It's based on eternity. And these feelings, okay, have been in me with what I was told in Sierra Vista, you know, with the people that come and challenge me. Okay, you guys have had they gave me declassified information. So you guys think I'm this guy from the Bible, and you've been in my house studying me and comparing me and fighting me and complaining me and blaming me for stuff. They blame you for stuff that they did. Okay? And then say, why does this happen? Why did your God let this happen? Okay. The guy is not God. He's the Lord who gives you faith in God. And he said, forgive debt and trespass, love one, eternal, faithful peace. You ask me, how do we solve all these problems and stop all this horrible stuff from happening in the book of Revelation? And I said, just live the Lord's Prayer. And you said, it's not time yet. And then you keep coming around to me and saying, how's your God helping you now? How's your God? Why isn't your faith in God helping with this and stuff? It's very difficult to correct technology that is being used to deny us faith in God when the best technology we have has a functional comprehension of the truth, of the understanding of the laws obeyed and understood by all valid unified religious principles. Okay. You can't invent religion. You can't make up gravity. You can't make up photosynthesis. Okay? Money is an invention. Okay? Technology is an invention. You can manipulate people with phones to get them to accept money, compete and fight over money, and have brain chemical addictions that make them feel powerful over doing it, right? But you cannot, okay, invent gravity and photosynthesis and eternity and faithful prayer and memories that light the corners of your mind, misty watercolor memories of the way we were. And it's the laughter what's too painful to remember, we simply choose to forget. No, I don't. No. I just don't like to talk about it because it's not necessary to repeat it. It's not necessary to make entertainment of it. So we can keep learning from our mistakes. If we keep repeating our mistakes and making entertainment out of our mistakes, we're not learning from it, right? I don't want to talk about my mom being killed with her medical treatment because she was not economically viable to keep alive. I don't want to talk about the people at Fort Huachuca coming in and telling me we can program people like we're programming a video game and we can't give them do anything they don't want to do and smiling about it. And then Michelle ended up shot in the back of the head in a smoke shop in Phoenix while I was here with the kids, and everybody just crawled up under the porch and said, you deal with all these big dogs, we can't handle them, and then no one wants to help. And it's like, okay, but when I do most of the work and the heavy lifting, you ain't going to be able to come around and look me in the eye and say, it's shake and bake and I helped. You know, it's going to be the little red hen and his chicks, and everybody else is going to be like, I think I'll go live in Kalamazoo or Poughkeepsie. I don't want to look you in the face. I feel too shitty and guilty. And I was like, yeah, maybe, call Tyrone, but not on my phone, but maybe next lifetime, right, Erica Badu? Racism sucks. Tribalism sucks. Okay, close your eyes. How are you treated? What does it matter what kind of hair he has, or if he has any hair at all? Okay, like I explained to that young man from New Mexico State University, I could be the fastest runner and the highest jumper in the history of the world, but we're still not living the perfect sacrifice and commands of Lord Jesus Christ. And the way the people at the fort monitoring it see it is selfish, because you're the eternal spirit of Adam, Moses, David, Jesus, John. You want everybody to bow down and worship like you worship because you think you're perfect. Well, I'm the living embodiment of the Lord's Prayer. I don't think I'm perfect. That's perfect. It's deliverance from evil. It's honoring the natural, eternal life of life given to it by an infinite essence. And if that's not perfect, then I'm going to kick the economy out of your job. Get it, Job, Book of Job, kick the, forgive, don't trespass, love, one, eternal faith. It's quite funny, actually, if you kind of understand how Earl likes to have fun playing with words. But, so do you understand? Okay. I wonder where these kiddos, it must be out on the West Coast. Japan, Spain, Tanzania. Sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. Which is a country. Africa is divided into countries, not states like the United States of America. Africa is a bunch of countries on a continent. United States of America isn't exactly a continent, really. Africa is a big, huge continent to itself. Okay. The United States is part of a continent called North America, which has Canada attached to it. Greensland's on. Canada, Mexico, and central other countries like in Africa. So, United States of America is a country on a big continent. There's North America, named after an Italian guy in a boat that labeled something regardless of the fact what the people that already lived here called it, right? From 30,000 feet above the desert floor, I see it there below. The city with a legend, the West Texas city of El Paso. Was it called El Paso before Don Juan Añate showed up, right? And Estebanico and Cabeza de Vaca. ¿Tú entiendes? Muy bien. Okay, so, I tell people that all the time, you're Mexica, you're Arwak, you're this, You're not, what was it called before it was the rich port? What was it called before it was Cuba? What was it called before it was Haiti? Isn't that a French name? The Dominican Republic. That's not what it was called. Okay. What was it called when people were living there before people with boats and pieces of paper and divine sovereignty and manifest destiny showed up? What did the people say? What did they do? Talk to the people, walk through the country. Do you know the dreams they dream at night? Only you can see me. Touch me with your healing hands. Madula Makanka. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It's Zulu. Asim Bonanga. Asim Bonanga Mandela Chena. La Pe Kona. La Wate Pe Kona. I was listening to Wayne Cooper and my friends from Fresno, my family from Fresno, Rodney Patrice and Donna Slater. They really liked a man that sings in that cameo, a song called "We're Going Out Tonight." They had the same adoration. White people now might look at it and go, "Oh wow, who is that? That's Wayne Cooper. Oh, his voice is beautiful." But when I was growing up, like Gabe, he sounds like a chick, Uncle Earl. It's like, yeah, he has a wonderful voice. Okay. When I talked in prayer to Beyonce's daughter, Blue, she's like, I love Wayne Cooper. And I was like, I do too. I'm sure there's lots of homosexual white people that love Wayne Cooper too. We were told at the time, because of political correctness and people weren't quite as cognizant and aware of HIV back then, that he died from sickle cell anemia, because I guess it had similar symptoms. Okay. So we thought Wayne died from sickle cell. And we were all very distraught about that because we just adored Wayne's voice. I thank the Lord for what he's given me. Ooh, it feels so nice to be I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. Yes. Oh, I'll never let you go. And I want the world to know. Yeah, but it's Wayne. And Wayne has this high, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful voice, okay? That just goes and you're just like, wow, okay? And I'm sure there's going to be more and more white people in the future that really just go back and listen to and appreciate Cameosis and Knights of the Sound Table and go, who's that? That's Wayne Cooper. He passed away from a disease that was caused by sodomy. Okay. He sang the song about, about being. Larry wrote the songs. Larry's a heterosexual who wrote the songs. His friend Wayne, or his business partner, I don't know how friendly they were, but Wayne sang the high notes and they were just exquisite. Okay. So yeah, he had a really nice voice. Yeah, well, that he didn't even know he kicked it in. The guy kicked it off him and hit his foot and it bounced in. He looked back and he went, I'm sorry, I'm watching the football match. And he was excited about it because, well, you put yourself in the right position, like Ricardo Pepe, when he got forward in the box and everybody's like, that was an own goal. Yes, it was, but the reason why it was an own goal is because the one kid put it across the box and Pepe was there so fast that the guy from Australia had no other alternative but to get there and get in the way. And it was a strong pass that was going to Pepe that if Pepe had hit it, it would have gone in too. But the guy from Australia was running like hell to catch up with Pepe, and so it bounced off him. So whatever works, right? And it felt bad. You felt bad for the little number 21 or with the little kid for Australia. I felt like, oh, poor buddy, that's not fun. But there wasn't anything he could do. Okay, the two kids that on the United States had really excellent pace. And he was a big, strong defender, and he was running like hell to keep them, they had him on his heels. And he did the very best he could do. And not many of you could have done any better. Okay, there are very few people in the world that could have gotten ahead there and been turned. I could have done it, like, the whole thing with Scott, playing tennis. He goes, no, Earl, you can hit it to his backhand, and he can turn on it, and he can get to his forehand. Okay, because you don't understand. I'm serving the ball 100 and something. I'm serving the ball really fast. I have a wicked serve. He had a wicked serve, and he would hit it to my backhand, and he goes, Earl can turn on it and forehand it back to you. And he was explaining that to Ty Sunderman. And Brian's an exceptional athlete. Brian was the top scorer from the junior soccer team with Eric Walinda on it, but the coaches screwed him. They scored. That's why I was thinking about that the other night because the quantum computing was explaining to me tribalism and racism and people doing things to keep people angry and vicious and undermining things, and so it gave me a better understanding of John Hall and what he was going through and what kind of things were. His kid, John was a physical scientist at the Pentagon. Okay. His son was the star of the national junior soccer team. Okay. Brian had the physical gifts from his dad's side of the family. He could run about a 4.140 and he had about a 56 to 58 inch vertical. Well, he's one of the most exceptional athletes I had ever seen. I told you when we played basketball we'd play basketball, we'd play tennis, and we do things together. And Scott Howell was saying that, Brian's an exceptional athlete. He goes, Earl, they're both amazing. He goes, but Brian can't do that. He just hits the ball over the fence and they go, the Mets win the pennant, he throws the thing up and they act like they're playing baseball and they're nuts, right? He goes, but if you could just sit down with these guys and get them we could just teach them. The war broke out. Scott was wanting to. He goes, I need to get Earl and teach him. I got married by then and had a jealous, overbearing very angry wife who was being abused by military intel at the Pentagon. John Hall's co-workers. Johnny Hall wasn't in charge of the Pentagon. He was just studying me, and I put him in comparison positions because he was angry at white people. And here's this white guy who is so much better than all the white people that are studying him, but they judge him because he's engaged to a black girl and he isn't homophobic and he's friends with homosexuals and he's the Raphael and he's the screw up and he's, and so it was just a big clusterfuck of insanity at the Pentagon when I was in the military and going to meet the Balls and hanging out at the Hall's house and all the hell that these people can put you through. They hired a new coach at the U.S. soccer team, and the guy kicked Brian off the team, said he was undisciplined and soccer was going in a different direction. And South American style soccer with small, fast guys was going to come extinct, that the middle, big, strong, athletic European style of football was not going to make it possible for guys like Pele and those other guys to dominate soccer anymore. We didn't need him on the team, and he wasn't going to be able to be successful anymore. Okay. Brian was better than Kobe Jones. Okay. Brian was faster and more athletic. Had amazing pace, and he didn't have to really be a musician. He was good with the ball, but he didn't have to be a musician with it. He had a good pass, he had a good strike, and no one could keep up with him, and he could out-jump everybody in the box. Okay, he had about a 56 to 58 inch vertical. He's 5'7", but when it went up in the box, he would, if it was a header with Cristiano Ronaldo, Brian, would have been up and, Jesus Christ, look at that guy go. He jumped over like Dina Williams with Kimmy. Kimmy was 6'2" and Dina was 5'9", but when they would jump center, Kimmy's head would be in Dina's armpit, like Zeke Williams with Paco Larson. There are athletes like that. They're very exceptional. They can do things. You're, what? I didn't see that coming. What? I think it's just the energy that flows through them for their family, because athleticism is about working and needing to get done what you need to do for people to live and love, not survival. I think the people that have the best athletic abilities typically won't play for long because they don't like the aggression and the abuse of it, and they're very exceptional. But you don't get to see the replays on SportsCenter and stuff like that because we quit. Dina didn't play much longer. She was an exceptional athlete. Okay, I knew lots of people that were exceptional athletes. In Brian's case, he wanted to play. He just didn't have that excessive, compulsive, aggressive, abusive mentality, and he was abused for it, just like myself. That's why we were such good friends. And so John Hall can't be that bad of a guy as far as the backdoor man and all that. Alan even told me that too. He said, Ralph, I don't know how you do it. If I couldn't get sex from my girl, I'd get it somewhere else. I said, Alan, I don't have that luxury. I'm a father. And I have to be an example for my kids and for my son and my daughters, on how to be treated when a man makes a commitment to you and what to accept from a man that makes a commitment to you and how he respects you through his wedding vows. And also to teach my sons, hey, like I used to tell Patrick, I didn't want you to think that women are like Lego pieces and you could take them off and put them on any way and anywhere you want. So I love you guys. We'll talk later, okay? We'll talk tomorrow. Maybe a little bit. All right, peace out.